and welcome to Qubit Networks Tech Talk for December 2021. I'm Josh Manville, the CTO of Qubit Networks, and I have with me John Lytle from Technical Solutions Specialist with the Infrastructure Solutions Group at Lenovo. Did I say all that right?
Yep. Yeah, you did.
All right. That's awesome. How are you doing today, John?
I'm doing great. It's Friday.
That's right. It's Friday. We're recording on Friday. I don't know when this is going out, but looking forward to the weekend. Can you tell me a little about yourself and maybe a little about your journey to Lenovo and where you're at now?
Yeah. So I've been in the IT industry almost 30 years or 30 years. I started out as an engineer for a small Ethernet company called 3Com, and then moved from the networking business into the server business with a focus on networking at IBM. Was acquired by Lenovo as part of the server group, and have been at Lenovo. I start my 9th year in February. So I've been around networking, around servers, around applications, and have really got an expertise in the software-defined infrastructure solutions that Lenovo provides.
That's awesome. What we want to talk today a little bit about is the Lenovo XClarity solution for managing Lenovo servers.
So XClarity is a family of products built into all of the products that we sell, servers, software-defined infrastructure, and storage. So every component that every server device that we sell has an XClarity controller, which is the embedded platform that's in the planar board of all these devices. And it's a way to do a one-to-one access to a device. And this is common user interface, which is HTML5. It's also Redfish compliant and utilizes REST APIs, which gives us the ability to plug into other orchestration or service engines, which I'll talk to in a second. But it gives you the single interface to a server that you can do firmware updates, check on what's going on in the system, build your RAID arrays if you're in storage or in the server environment, and again, includes everything. We start to elevate up the stack and we look at really one-to-many type of orchestration engines. And the second one is called XClarity Essentials. And this is really geared towards people or organizations that have hundreds or thousands of devices in their scripting tools.
Oh, okay.
So it's really if you want to go do a password change or an SMTP string change, this is a way to do it. So organizations like Morgan Stanley, SAP, Chase Bank would tend to use these rather than the graphical interfaces. Cool. If we jump up one level, the XClarity Administrator is our virtual appliance application that gives us a one-to-many as well. And this, again, is an HTML5 application. It runs as a VM somewhere in the environment and gives us a centralized repository for software images, asset information, firmware update repositories, and so forth. The administrator could actually manage up to 1,000 devices. But in the event that organizations are either spread out around the country or world or go above that 1,000 devices, our orchestrator is really an administrator of the XClarity administrators. So I could have them, an administrator within each region or within each building, and the orchestrator would give me look into all of those administrators in separate locations.
That's great. And so you can manage a lot of servers over a wide area of land.
And then lastly,
many locations.
We've seen organizations make a move to software-defined infrastructures, powered by companies like Microsoft, Nutanix, and VMware. And we actually have what we call an integrator that will plug into those single pane of management console that those guys offer. So with VMware, there's a product called VLCM that's part of vCenter. Nutanix has a lifecycle manager. Microsoft has Windows Admin Center. And there's other products like CloudForms, Chef, Puppet, and ServiceNow, where we will plug into those and basically handle all of the hardware management of those devices. They may incorporate software updates, into that. They may incorporate call management, as ServiceNow does, but we'll take this application, if you will, and then integrate it into those service applications.
So if I'm in VMware, if I'm in vCenter or Nutanix, and I need, I can do a firmware upgrade through that interface.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
It doesn't necessarily remove the desire to have the administrator, because we can give you more information about what's going on in your systems. An example that has become really helpful to customers is, when does my warranty entitlement end? What are all the serial numbers on the boxes that are out there? And we've got a tab in there that will discover all those, as well as you can export that to a CSV file for record keeping. So it's a great kind of discovery tool and asset management as well. I was to say, it takes a stab at asset management for you, which is great. Correct. So again, the suite, you go up the stack, starting with the baseboard, essentials, really large numbers of devices. The administrator, we probably have, I don't want to say 100% usage out there, but it's probably in the 90s. And the integrators are becoming more and more popular because companies like VMware and Nutanix are wanting to manage the hardware. A firmware update is a critical, I guess, point in time that you've got to make sure that your clusters are available enough that you can take the downtime on a single unit. So vacating workloads and moving them to different devices, it's really a hand-in-hand orchestration to do those in those types of platforms.
That's great. This is awesome. I think everyone is ease of use and single panes of glass are all the rage today. So
yeah. So this is just kind of a highlight slide of the administrator. So on the right-hand side, it's a very clean look that you'll see, server, storage, switches, chassis systems. If you're using our Flex, you can actually aggregate servers into racks. You can actually aggregate them into resource groups. And then in the second section, in the middle tells you can actually have configuration patterns that are certain attributes of a VMware image, as an example. That you can actually put these on bare metal servers very easily. You can also do OS images and firmware updates. And the interesting thing about the firmware updates is you can actually create policies of what the best recipe is. And
I was just going to say, I saw the policy-based firmware updates, and I was like, that's interesting.
So take us a few years back, and remember the Intel Spectre problem? And that was a firmware update. We could actually go and inventory all the systems. We downloaded the Spectre fix, and we did a firmware review of all the systems there, and we found out which ones needed the patch. And then we could
just told you that.
Yeah, it would just tell us that. And then we could schedule at an off hour either how many systems you wanted to go do. And you can actually do it manually right then and there, but we've got the capability to schedule those updates as well.
That's great.
And so we really focus on 5 things. And on the left-hand side, it's discovery, auto discovery and asset management, real-time monitoring and fault handling. And we can actually do automated phone home. So if we've got that set up, we automatically call our service portal and open up a ticket with support. And we will dispatch the field replaceable unit to the customer site. They will get an alarm as well, should they set it up, either email, pager, whatever you need. And we actually use analytics that we got from IBM that we look at 5 different things. We look at CPU, memory, power supply, and voltage regulation on the systems, as well as fans. And
so you're looking for failures over thousands and thousands of server analytics, right?
Correct. So we can start to predict something's going to fail rather than waiting for it to fail.
So you can see RAM that's maybe using a little too much voltage or too little, and say, hey, there's something wrong there. That's great.
Or fan speeds change. You start getting dust in there. They're not as efficient. We start to see
even better.
speeding, kind of cool. We talked a little bit about the policy-based firmware updates. You can define the policy and then track the firmware. So you can make a determination rather than updating every time something comes out. Hey, I'm going to go do it. We can actually go get the firmware updates at Lenovo and then move it against the systems to see, hey, what doesn't meet that and do it. Is it time to do it?
Okay.
Again, from the SDI platforms, Nutanix and VMware, Microsoft, they'll do that within their pane of glass, but they'll take our firmware package and apply it against the hardware that's installed in the cluster.
And that's using the API that you built with XClarity.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect.
And then for bare metal servers, OS installation and configuration patterns, rather than looking for, sure, a flash drive or something like that to do it, we can actually take it right from the repository. And that includes,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Includes worldwide names and fiber channel NICs configuration like that as well. So you can specify the attributes of IP and all of the IP domain name service, time servers, and things like that out of it. And on the bottom right, we got the pricing for you, that suggested list price. So it's not really it's not a budget buster.
No, it's reasonable for sure.
That's an entitlement plus support.
Sure.
For that period of time.
That's great. I mean, I think server administrators and system admins across the spectrum are looking for more ability to have more control, better scheduling, and something to help them figure out what needs what firmware and when. And
right.
Just trying to manage that as a former sysadmin myself, it is a pain. And it just makes it a little easier, which is great.
And again, keeping track of it.
Yeah, that's it. Having somewhere to go and look and go, okay, but these 5 servers, let's get this scheduled, instead of just not knowing. I always say the worst fear is the fear of the unknown inside your environment, and this just helps alleviate that and gives you tools to alleviate the problems that you do find.
Yep,
which is great. That's great. Is there anything cool coming out, new coming out, we should be looking for from Lenovo or?
Well, our big effort right now, and we're coming up on an announcement, is a one Lenovo architecture sales motion, really, where we're combining both of our, I'll call it end user devices, laptops, yogas, desktop computers, with the infrastructure group, which is what I'm a part of. So we're bringing kind of a seamless experience to both our business partners like you and our customers, that we're going to simplify that experience. Instead of going, if you're buying laptops, who's my server guy? If you're buying servers, who is my desktop or laptop guy? And we got to figure out who that is.
That's great.
We're really excited about that. It's a significant investment, and it's a unique differentiator versus our traditional counterparts that either don't have both sides of the fence or again have separate organizations.
Sure. That's great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. This is great information. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. And if anybody has questions, please feel free to reach out and we'll get you in touch with Lenovo. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Have a great day. Be safe.
You too. Thank you.